Hey everybody, this is Melina from scrapbookingwithme.com and Me Crafty Scrapper here on YouTube and Instagram. And we are continuing our series on the coffee dyed speckled journal. In our first video, that is 2 videos back, it's called part 1. It has part 1 in parentheses on the title. We decorated our pages that go into the signature inside this journal cover. And then in the second video, part 2, we put on the hidden spine, and we bound our signature and then put on our cover and our exterior spine. And then when I was finishing that video, I noticed that I had some tearing in my cardstock, just because that 1-inch interior spine is in there so well that I need to cover this up. So, lace to the rescue. That's how we're going to cover that up. So I'm first off going to do that. The rest of this video, after this dries, I'm doing this first so this will dry. I'm recording it first, letting it dry, and then coming back and showing you the rest of the video will be all about pockets. We are going to be adding interior covers, because this is just a piece of cardstock, and it's not thick cardstock either. Just to make it a little more sturdy, we are going to add some chipboard here and cover that chipboard and make this more sturdy. And do the same to the back. Then we're going to add some secretarial pockets and put some trifold tucks in the secretarial pockets. And I've already got my library pocket. I've already got my library pocket here on the front of this signature cover that I made, and this is just craft cardstock. And then we're going to make some pockets for the insides of the signature, and then possibly do another pocket of some kind here. I want to do a small pocket of some kind here in our trifold envelope in the middle of our signature, and then maybe even some vellum pockets throughout too. And let me get this a little unstuck from there. I'm going to have to figure out a something to do here, since that is tacky. I mean, it's not ever going to make things rip, but it is a little tacky right there. I'm going to have to find some way to fix that. But today is all going to be about getting those pockets on and getting them secure, and even making a few maybe little on the backs of these pieces of cardstock that were tucked in and put into the signature. Maybe even making a pocket and little booklets that look like signatures, but you would pull out and, you know, kind of jot on like a notepad. So I'm thinking about some pockets there with the back cover of the notepad stuck down in that pocket, and then you just pull it out. I'll show you. But anyways, that is my thoughts for this video. So let's get started. On the back, I want to leave just a little of that spine cardstock showing. So I'm going to adhere this lace onto the back cover first, and then come around and do the spine side and the front. So I'm using Fabri-Tac, and it's a silicone spatula. That's what it is. Alright, so I'm thinking that I need to expand this a little bit when I'm putting it on. Not leave it like this the entire time I'm putting the spine on, because if I do, then the lace is going to be too tight. Making sure that this is the back again. Yes, it is. And this is front and up. Okay, so I'm just laying it out flat right now. to get it started on the back, and then I will close it. So right down that line, that looks perfect. All right, so I am going to put a line of this Fabri-Tac. I'm going to pull this back some and add a little bit. Back there, and I'm going to spread it out really good, and then spreading my lace back out. And getting that adhered really well there. And then I'm going to close up my book. So I'm going to turn it over here, pull this lace back some where it is not adhered, and then I'll be trimming it off. I just wanted to make sure that I had plenty of lace and it stretched over the spine really well before I trimmed it. Give me a good bead line there and spread that out some. So I'm just going to pull back and just get on the spine and not past, so that that can be free to move around. Okay, so we have put on our lace on the spine, and it's still just a little bit tacky. That's why we got some dark spots, but that will dry. And we're going to start with adding some strength to these covers, because the covers are just cardstock. So we want to add a little bit of strength to that. I have cut some craft cardstock, and then just got some other patterned cardstock out of my stash, and I'm going to adhere them on there, and then we're going to put a secretarial pocket on there in a more plain cardstock, and then that will be, you know, a more sturdy cover. This paper, this one also came from an old Simple Stories collection called Legacy. I believe it was their best ever collection. It was, I mean, just beautiful, beautiful papers and cut aparts in that. And I love that collection. And I've got some postcard pages in here, so I thought that that would go really well. I'm going to put that one on the back cover there, and then have this one on the front cover, because if I put the tree on the back cover and I put on my pocket, then the tree's going to mostly be covered up. So if I put the tree up front, it won't. And I like the ledger part of that. I've already inked the edges with frayed burlap, and now I am going to tape these or adhere these on. I'm going to use score tape and then a little liquid Barely Arts that can be found in the shop. So pretty. This paper is just gorgeous. That's my Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. That one is the one that is available year-round. The Art Glitter Glue, which I also like. The the manufacturer doesn't offer it year-round, because if it gets in ships in freezing conditions and stays in those freezing conditions for too long, then it'll just harden up. And then that is no good to you because there is no softening it back and getting it back to its liquid state. So that's why we decided to start carrying the Barely Arts. And the one thing that I have noticed, and I heard Mom talk about it in one of her recent videos, one thing I have noticed is, like, when I put that Barely Arts glue on this on the back side, when I put it down, I can see no waves of it. Like where I swirled it, I cannot see that at all. And on some, even the art glitter glue, sometimes you can get that wavy look behind your papers, and that's no good. You don't want that. Alright, I'm going to put some score tape on the back of this, and then we're going to adhere it to that front cover. Okay, I got my score tape on there. I'm putting me some Barely Arts around it. And then I forgot to mention our covers are 5 5/8 by 8 5/8. And then I cut this craft cardstock at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then the paper on top of the craft is just an 1/8 smaller than that. Oh yes, that is a lot more sturdy there. I like that. Okay, now let's do the same thing to our back cover. Alright, so there is my back cover reinforced, and front cover is reinforced. So I really like that. If you are new to junk journaling, usually the idea to junk journaling is you're putting lots of stuff together, lots of different shapes and tears and textures, and sometimes not color, but you're just putting a lot of different things together to make a junk journal. So everything doesn't have to be matchy-matchy. So that's why I am wonderful with one cover not matching the other cover. Now on the outside I do like the symmetry of that, but on the inside I'm going to go all out. Alright, now let's get our secretarial pockets done. There's this back here. Ooh, I like that. And then that dolly would be in the corner. I like that. Yep, I think that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that to use on this back. And then I'll just have to find something else to use on the front cover. Yep, that's good. And then I'm going to tear from this corner. And you don't specifically have to go all the way to that corner. You can tear and then just, you know, have it about here. And then we'll just adhere on those corners, or those sides. So I'm going to make sure to get that point off. Let's see how I did. Just come down a little bit from the point and started tearing. And then when you tear, if you don't have a tear tool that you want to use, you want to tear it toward you so that you get those frayed edges. And then you can distress those with inks if you want to. Okay, I want to find that scrap craft paper I have. Yep. I want to make a little expander for this out of some cardstock. This is papery weight, and so I want to make a couple of expanders. Go ahead and cut that so that when you tuck something into that pocket, and I'm just going to make it go on there. This is just a little under a ½ inch. Okay, that's that one side's expander. Yep, and then the other side, we're going to use the score pal or whatever score tool you use. Score tool. I cannot talk today. And then I'm going to give it just a quarter. Whoop, 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 whoop. Just a quarter score. Okay. This one's going to be hard to give a quarter score. I might have to make this a little bit bigger. Now that works. Okay. Then fold it over. And I'm going to adhere just that one little fold on there. But before I do that, I'm going to snip this corner and give myself a mitered corner. I'm having to hold this really close to me so I could see it. Sorry, I know I was at the bottom of the screen. Alright, and then fold this one over. Line it up how I'm going to want it, and then miter that corner. Haha, look at there. Almost perfection. Good, good, good. Alright, I'm going to miter this off up top and on the other corner here. Just so when we put this pocket in, you're not going to be able to see this expansion that I put on. There we go. Alright, now use my teeny tiny 1/8 inch score tape. To get that adhered on. I'm going toward the smaller sections of the expanders I'm making. Okay, take my back off. What I will do is adhere on but not press down on this side, just so that when I get that other corner on, I can get it pressed together with this other side's corner and then adhere them together. It's stuck to my finger. Let's see. There we go. Turn it around, make sure I'm on the edge of the paper and not where it can be seen once it gets put in. Edge of the paper, yes, all the way. Corners together. Okay, then I will adhere just this part and this part in here, and that's going to leave you a pocket that kind of sits up from your cover and gives you just a little bit of wiggle room to add thicker items into those pockets. So let's go ahead and get that 1/8 inch score tape back out. Put it on. And then I'm also going to add some Barely Art after I get the backing off of here, just so it stays nice and secure. Get the bubble out. Really get that corner good. Okay, and then I'm going to line it up with my design paper or my pattern paper. Use your bone folder or your edge, whatever edge you use, to go along the sides. I'm also going to put some glue on this corner here, but I'm going to distress this tear, which I should have done before I put it down. But with the expander, it pulls up pretty good, pretty easy to be able to distress that so it's not stark white. Okay, there is my pocket, and you can see you've got some wiggle room down in there. You can put some extra thick things in there if you wanted to. Now I'm going to get my Barely Arts glue and go here on this corner. Just a tiny little stream, and that is going to be the only corner or only side of the pocket that is directly onto the paper and doesn't have an expander behind it. That's going to keep that pocket secure, and when you put something in there, it's not going to slide out the edge here. Get that wiped off on something. Okay, and let that dry the rest of the way, and then we will work on that front cover. But I really like that. I like how that turned out. I like the distressing and that dolly showing just in the corner. That's very cute. I like that. I don't want to flip that over quite yet. I'm going to let that corner right there dry. But let me show you here. If I were to put, say you've got room for lots of stuff to put down in there, and it's not tight at all. It's not giving you that pullback at all when you put it in there. So I really love that. Very cute. All right, we're going to let that dry, and then we will make the front pocket. So we have added the back pocket, and we need to add the front pocket, of which I went ahead and done off camera just because it's the exact same way I put the expander pieces on the back of this one, just like I did the back. So it is the same exact way, same technique. So you can go back and watch that one if you didn't catch how I put this one on. Same exact way that I put that one on. The only reason this one's kind of bulked up a little bit is because it is freshly put on, and I have not clipped the book together and let it sit overnight like I did after we did this one, because this is a different day. This video has taken a couple of days to video and edit, so that's why that one's a little bit bulky, because I haven't sandwiched it together and let it rest. Alright, so we have our front pocket that is deep, just like our back pocket is. It's got those expander pieces on them, so we're going to be able to put lots of stuff down in them. I distressed around the edges with that frayed burlap, just like I did on the back. And we had already done this. The library pocket was one that already come from Bee in My Bonnet company, and I added that there. I want to add some pockets to the inside here, and maybe 2-tier. So have one taller pocket and then another pocket on top of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do on those. But right now, I wanted to show you what I wanted to do to these pieces of pattern cardstock that I added in. That's just these little short pages. So I have 4 that have white backs to them, and I want to add some pockets too. So this one I'm not going to add because it has a pattern on both sides, but that one, this one, which is the back of the ones I just showed you, and the back of the other one I just showed you, have white, like I call it. I say white. That's just my southern slang, and I try my best to not have southern slang on my videos, and that's not really me. So these have white backs, and I want to add some craft cardstock pockets to each one of these, and this is just going to be a simple pocket, no expanders on the back. It's going to be flush with this paper because I don't want the middle to be too bulky, because once you add other stuff to it, you might run into some issues as far as the book not Pac-Manning on you. And what I mean by that is, if you add too much, see, we only put 1 signature in this. It could have held 2 signatures, but we only put 1 signature in it because I did want to add a few things throughout the signature and more pockets. But if you add too much girth to this signature, your book's not going to stay closed unless you add a closure to it, and you're going to get that Pac-Man look when your book is finished and you try to close it. So that's what I'm talking about trying to keep away from the Pac-Man look. So I'm going to finish distressing these 4 pockets. Alright, and now I'm going to, let me go back to the very first one. Let's start with that one. And then I'm going to use my 1/4-inch score tape. So this piece, it's 3 1/4 wide by 6 1/2 tall. So this was a 6 1/2 by 6 1/2 pad. They don't make those a lot anymore. This was way back in my stash. So I have a 6 1/2 tall piece or page and 3 1/4 wide. So my pocket is 5 3/8 tall by 3 inches wide. And I'm going to place it about there. Okay, I've taken my backing from the score tape off, and I'm going to just put a little bit of barely art just a little fine stream. And then add this pocket. And remember, you can't have a pocket if you close up the top. And I've done that boo-boo before a few times. Alright, and get our bone folder. Okay, so I've gotten all of the craft pockets on the back, and now I'm going to cut tags out of this paper for each one of those 4. And since I used 1/4-inch score tape all around, and this is 6.5 tall, I'm going to cut these tags to go in this out of this paper, and I'm going to cut them at 2 inches by 5.5 inches and see what that looks like. It looks really narrow, but for it to glide easily, because I didn't make expander sides, that's how wide they need to be. Okay, yep. Alright, so I'm going to use the deco side and trim these, just the top corners, and then I'll distress them. Whoop! I'm going to throw them all over the place first. Then I'll cut the tops and distress them. Okay. That's a pretty corner. It's got that inked look to it. Alright, and now let's distress all of these so they actually show up in that pocket. Put them all together. And get that tag hole punched. And then I'm going to add some of that gold baker's twine to the tops of these. Let's find about center and add that. And I did the smaller, the 1/8 inch hole, because it's going to be baker's twine, not ribbon, so that'll be easy to put through. Okay, so we have all of them distressed and the corners punched like I wanted them, and the hole punch in the middle. So then we are going to get our baker's twine that has that gold thread through it. And I'm going to cut 4 of these at this in half and bring the 4 loose ends together, and then I'm going to put it through like a library pocket or a library knot. And then put the loose ends through the looped ends. Yes, very pretty. I like that. And then add that there. And then when we close up our journal, in those 4 places, it's going to have that baker's twine sticking out there. So that's pretty. I like that. So there's that first one. Nope, that's the second one. Now let's add tags to the rest. Okay, so I have added all of the tags and tassels onto our white backed cardstock pages. So there they all are, and then some of these are some of these short pages are a little taller than the other one. And so when you close it, that baker's twine is sticking out at different levels, and I think that just adds to the character of the book. I really like that, the way that turns out and looks sticking out of the top of the book. Alright, so there are our pockets there. Now let's add our 2-tiered pockets. And do I want to add anything to the back of this? I think I will just add an embellishment, and I think I might go with some of those printables that Bethany did, the spring printables. Let me see. That one doesn't really go, which it doesn't have to matchy match. Ooh. Get that pretty. And I printed these off wrong. I didn't do it fit to page, so I cut off the top. So that's why that looks like that. That pretty blue would go with that blue that's in that. I like that. And add some of that ledger paper back behind it. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do here. Let's see. I think I want to layer it up just a little bit here. So if I do ledger paper, then a piece of craft, and then that on top of it, I like that 3-layered look. So let's go ahead and add that onto there, because this video is not just about pockets. We're adding some embellishments too. Scoop my ink back. Alright, and I'm going to cut just right up against, I do have just a, like a, let's see, not even a 1/16 of an inch, maybe, I don't know, but I'm going to get just right up against where that's colored a different, yep, and it worked out great. And then same thing here. And I just printed these on regular copy paper, so the layers that I add behind it won't be too bulky for the page. So 3 1/4 by 4 3/8, and then this is 2 7/8 by 4. Okay, I'm going to ink the edges before I put it on there. That's the beauty of printables. You can cut it to whatever size you want. You can actually print it to whatever size you want too. So if the printables that are digitals that we have on the site, you think something is too big to go on your project, you can always print it at a smaller size and get it whatever size you would like. So I'm adding some Barely Art to the back of this paper, and then adding it on to the craft cardstock, and then putting a layer of ledger paper back behind that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to the ledger paper, and then I'm going to hand cut just so it's not perfect, which it's not perfect anyway, since I cut it a little too small, and then the frame was, the mat was too big. But let's just make it look very homemade, and go ahead and put this on. And then cut it myself. And make it very crude like. I'm going to kind of cut the corners a little bit. Get that white off the edge. there where I printed it. And then a little crude edge there and a little crude edge there. And then ink that. Oh, I like that. Okay, and then that's the top. To me, that is the top. And I think I will look here in these die cuts and add a little something else to that. Make myself a die cut cluster. Ooh, I like the little squirrel. I like that. And maybe one other little thing here. Let's see. No. A little mushroom? No. Let's see. That little word is cute. Oh, I like that too. Let's see. Because the flowers are kind of wild looking. We put the little squirrel in the corner. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's dirty them up a little bit since they're so stark white. And these are the die cuts from the Prima Nature Lover collection, and we have those in the shop. Let's get that little bubble off that one edge where it come off of its cardstock sheet. Alright, and then use a little bit. I want them both kind of hanging off the edges here, so use a little bit of Barely Arts on the inside here, and add our little squirrel and our little wild heart piece here. Let's see, a little bit higher. There we go. Straighten her up. Okay, yep, that's cute. All right. Get that put on. And right in the middle, I think. All right, let's get the glue back out. And get every little edge covered so that when you're flipping through and you forget that you've got this die cut piece, die cut cluster on the back, you don't pull it away from the back of the book, the back of the signature here. All right, so let's add this. I'm going to pull that cover up some so that I can get that signature as flat as possible so that I know it is straight. Pull down just a little bit. That glue will dry and you will be fine. Let's go this way just a touch. Yes, very pretty. All right, let's get that down and get that excess glue nudged out. I like that. So that is our back cover, we've got the back pocket. I'm not adding anything to the covers. I did go ahead and put some frayed burlap on this lace just because it was kind of taken away from the cover, so I wanted to darken it up just a little bit so it would go a little bit better. We have that front cover, we have our front library pocket. Okay, now our double layered pockets for the inside covers of the signature, and then I think we're going to be good. Now this video has went long, so I will do these double pockets. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do one of them, and I'll show you the end result, and then I'll go ahead and do this front pocket and show you what it looks like. And then I'm going to come back and do a total flip through, complete flip through of this journal in another video, because this one has went a little bit long. Okay, so I want to make this a pretty high pocket with the expander pieces on the sides and the bottom. So I'm going to leave that length, so, or that width. So I need to just figure out what length I've got here. Let's just do perfectly in half. So we have the same height pocket on both of those interior signature covers. Okay. And then I will need to score to make the expander pieces. This is, I didn't put my ruler back up where I usually do, so I had to pull it out of the pile. This is a half sheet, so it should be, let's see, yep, 5.5 wide. Alright, so the pocket is going to have to be like matte. It's not going to go all the way to the edge. Since this is a thick cardstock, will be fine with that. So it's going to be kind of matted there, and that kind of goes along with all the rest of my theme through this. I've matted it to that craft cardstock, so we're good. We're going to do 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch on each side, and then do the same on the bottom. That might be just a touch more because of the length. And make sure that you do it, if you have directional paper, make sure you do it the correct way for the top of the pocket. Get that down correctly, and we're going to score it at 1/4. And then again on the bottom. And then you're going to come in here and take out that little box you got right there. So that when you fold the corners up, they won't be all bulky. Alright, and then you are going to distress ink, not those, because those are going to be folded under. You're going to distress ink those folds. And then you're going to ink that top also. Okay, and you are going to put score tape. And I'm going to put 1/4 inch and hope that it doesn't fold over too much. And get my scissors back. And I'm going to put those, cut at an angle there. There we go. That is going to fit much better. Cut at that angle. There we go. And then when we fold over, you've got some semi-mitered edges. Okay, now before you take the back off, I'm going to look and make sure of that mat. That is pretty, that works. So we're going to take our backs off and then make sure that all of that tape is pulled away from that fold so it doesn't show there. And I'm going to put a little bit of barely art just so that I can maneuver this pocket on before it adheres all the way. Let's get that pin back in there. The older I get, the harder that is. I know there are some friends out there that can totally relate to that. Alright, we're just putting down the expander part, not the actual pocket piece, so that we can have some room to add. And I got glue all over me. That's okay. If you're not getting messy doing your paper crafts, I don't believe you're doing it correctly. So I come away from that edge there just so that when we close this, it's not butting up to that paper. So I come away from that edge, putting that down, and then see you've got an expanded pocket that you can add some thick stuff to if you want to. Oh yeah, look at that, how pretty. That is very pretty. So let's cut along here. And remember, this is that short stories, Simple Stories Legacy collection that I just had in my stash. Ooh, I like that as a belly band. Let's do that. And the secret to a belly band is putting it on really tight. Don't leave any room when you are adding a belly band, because you want it tight so that when you add tag, piece of paper, whatever, ephemera, it's going to stick really well back behind this. So I'm going to add some barely art on the inside edge, right up against that score tape, just so that we've got a really good sealed edge on both sides. Okay, make sure your directional paper is the way it should be, and then add that belly band wherever you would like. And I'm going to add it just a little lower than middle. There we go. Oop, be easy with your bone folder because it'll move it. There we go. And then you've got a belly band in the middle. Let me get a piece of something to put in there just to show you We've got a tight belly band that's going to hold that in place for you. And you can even add a couple of pieces. Let's get another piece of something. That's too long of a something. A little file folder there. Add all kinds of stuff to it. And then add, of course, to your pocket back here, anything you would like. I like that belly band. That is pretty. I really like that. Okay. And then I'm going to add, like I said, I'm going to add some torn paper and embellishments to these pockets. I'm going to add another butterfly pocket back on the front here, just like I did here, and add a belly band to this one. I might not add the same, I don't even have the same paper, so it won't be the same paper, but I will add another belly band to this one. And then in the next video, I will have the complete flip through of our coffee dyed speckled journal. So this has been a journey for this journal, and if you have not watched part 1 and part 2, I will link those in the description box below, but it is clearly marked in my on my channel, and they're all in a row. So it is coffee dyed speckle. So CDS journal part 1, CDS journal part 2, this is CDS journal part 3, and then CDS journal part 4 will be the complete flip through to show you every embellishment and pocket and everything that I've added to it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching till the end. That helps me so much with my channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And y'all have a great day. God bless. Bye.